Whoa, I read the comic.
Lick.
Nope, it's Goofy. It's not Jimmy Stewart.
This is not a big jump from like to whoa.
It's very close. It's very close.
To whoa. Welcome, residents, to the Dr. DC podcast. My name is producer Richard, and across from me is the doctor himself.
What's up?
Oh my god, cool guy.
Yeah, hey.
How
How you doing?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Horny.
No.
Unless maybe.
Oh my. Is this happening?
Stop, you saying too much. One of these days it might happen.
Is this happening? Will this happening?
Oh, stay tuned.
Nice.
Same fuck time. Same us channel.
Yeah, it's good that we record this second. You can tell that like all the good this is where the good comedy is.
Yes, we really gush out the good comedy.
Well, yeah, go listen to Ghostface.
Each week we talk about the weird and wonderful world of DC while fielding questions from listeners like you.
Yeah, baby.
We are fully into Prescribed Reid-ing Month.
We are dick and balls into it.
Yeah, baby.
All.
Yeah, we're gushing content
We
all
are
over.
gushing content. It's
How are you feeling?
Let's just say this month will be a book kake of reading adventures.
This might be on the radio.
Get on your knees and stick out your tongue.
Because content's coming all.
This month is a book kake.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God. How have we done this long and never said book cocky? I'm kind of mad that's only coming out now.
It's true.
That's
actually
really good.
Hey, you know. I don't know.
I don't. Clearly neither do you. So you've seen the selections I've made. How are you feeling so far? Without talking about sort of the specific things you've already read.
So, the three books that we know off the top.
Yeah.
I know where you're going with this. You're deliberately trying to like you're trying desperately to recreate the magic of the For Tomorrow episode. You're desperately.
It was magic, baby.
You know, we'll see what happens with the fourth week with the vote that determines what the book is.
Of course. Who could possibly know?
I dare you to say otherwise.
Yeah. Have you come up with like what those are going to be yet?
I don't have to come up with anything.
Oh, no.
They're going to pick it.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, no.
But the first three, I'm like. Also, I don't think we were playing this close to the vest like last time, but it is funny to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're doing. If that's what you're asking me, I know exactly what you're doing. And I don't blame you for aiming for it. I think it might be a mistake to aim for it every week.
Sure. I needed to know. Could I create gold 3 weeks in a row?
Could it be done? Yeah.
We'll find out. Maybe this is Icarus. I don't know.
I mean, I guarantee you it is.
We'll see.
But I will say that these selections are, by default, more interesting than the ones last year.
Sure.
I think last year was like a little too, like just, it's just bad. Like there's something outrageous in it, but it's like bad.
Yeah.
The first year, I feel like we're big swings all around, you know, good and bad.
Yes.
This year feels like, even though you're trying to,
it's a bit sweaty.
Yeah, it's a little sweaty. I think they're interesting picks.
Okay. That's all I'm looking
pleased
for.
with that.
Please, Daddy. So let's talk about the reading assignment for this week.
Oh my God, we're kicking off Prescribed Reid-ing Month.
Prescribed Reid-ing Month,
which again, just for the record, these are books from your collection that you pick.
Yeah.
For us to read.
That's right.
Which is fun for me.
Yes, and these are These are sometimes a single issue, sometimes it's a multiple issue, depending what I'm trying to accomplish with it.
Yeah. So, depending on how close it'll get to the thing you're trying to make happen.
Yeah, exactly. So it's never just like one issue. Sometimes it's a story. Sometimes it's it's like a through line of some sort. Sometimes it's one single issue.
Sure. So this week we read All-Star Batman and Robin, the Boy Wonder #9.
That's correct.
By Frank Miller and Jim Lee.
That's right.
I mean,
what a better team.
I could also see the alchemy of like, well, Jim Lee did For Tomorrow.
Yeah. Taking the best people in comics.
Yeah. And like, who hates women? Azzarello, Miller, like you kind of like, I know, I can see the math. I know why you picked it. It's very funny to me.
Yeah.
Actually.
What could possibly be problematic in this?
Yeah. Interesting. This book is this issue, but also this series is hated.
Yeah. I can imagine.
It killed the idea of the All-Star line of comics. There's All-Star Superman, and there's All-Star Batman and Robin the Boy Wonder, and that's it. And yes, there's a book later called All-Star Batman, but it has nothing to do with what the idea was here, which was to have legendary creators do definitive takes on things.
I can absolutely understand.
This series didn't end.
Really?
It got canceled. I think it has 10 issues. There's one issue after this.
Is this the one with the rooftop?
The rooftop Black Canary maker?
Yeah.
That's earlier in the series,
Yeah.
but that's an issue like 4 or 5.
Yeah, exactly. I do remember that.
Yeah. Where he's like, she tastes ashy like a cigar. Gets me hard.
This fucking Batman.
This is an insane book. So this issue in particular involves Batman and Robin and Green Lantern. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this because I'm not sure if you've read this before this.
I had not.
Okay, so then let's go through it then.
It's fucking insane. It's the craziest interpretation of these characters I have ever seen.
Yeah,
like fully like as if someone was like someone like heard the idea of who these characters were from like a different country and then tried to like do their interpretation, but that person is also a piece of shit that's writing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like,
they played a game of alt-right telephone.
Yes.
And then yeah.
It's so fucking stupid and bad that it's funny.
A little.
Like the concept of like what they are doing here is fucking hilarious.
So very, very like there's not a ton happens.
No,
this is a real like talky issue.
Yeah.
But what essentially is happening in this issue,
there's a fight.
Is Green Lantern has come to try to talk Batman out of his brutal methods.
Yes.
Because it's making the burgeoning Justice League look bad. People are lumping in
his actions
like
with
better superheroes with the insane like maliciousness of Batman.
And Batman basically says,
knows Green Lantern.
Cuck.
Batman knows Green Lantern is coming, and so he has Robin paint an entire room and themselves yellow to neutralize Green Lantern's power.
Yeah.
And then the whole issue is
was
basically essentially like a moral ground argument between Batman and Green Lantern.
It was fucked up that they taped their eyes, but
Jesus. I mean,
would you be surprised? Like,
I bet like in the margin, Miller was like, with a different artist, maybe I would. But,
yeah. Why is this a miso solly? I don't understand.
Oh, no.
I'm not putting that in letters.
Can I get egg foo in here?
Yeah.
At a certain point, the argument heats up to the point, Green Lantern is like, you kidnapped Dick Grayson. That's who Robin is. And he's like, is it? I'll never tell. And then eventually Robin fights Green Lantern.
But too well.
And like does like a crazy like strike to his esophagus.
Yeah.
And he basically kills Green Lantern.
Yeah.
And Batman has to do a fucking like a field tracheotomy to save his life. And at the end he goes like, am I too brutal?
Yeah.
man, I'm just too brutal too fast.
Yeah.
We'll slow it down a bit. We'll let the boy grieve. And they go to...
And then they have the most fucking like new metal like moment where it's like
at the Grayson
yeah,
grave.
it was just like, why am I like this?
Yeah. That's, a very kind of cursory overview of the issue. But let's talk about some of the stuff that
The tone
that
of
happens
this,
in here.
I feel like you could play the entire album from Stained over this.
Oh yeah.
Like,
yeah. Or some Seether.
Yeah, it's so mean-spirited.
It's extremely mean-spirited.
Which is, that is Miller. Like
it is.
This version of his Batman is the worst I've ever seen.
That's the craziest part of this.
This is extreme for even Miller as Batman.
Because here's the thing. Miller's Dark Knight Returns is a particular take, but it's not
bad. Like
out of character.
No.
That's the big key.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be the young version, and I think there's an argument to be made that this Batman could mellow over time into the Dark Knight. Like,
sure.
I don't necessarily think it's out of Miller's world. Like, I think I get what he was trying to do, but it comes off fucking crazy. It comes off like he has not heard of Batman.
This is like a Batman written like by an alcoholic 1960s like writer who's a womanizer and an alcoholic and an abuser. Like this Batman like does not seem like somebody who's like super genius.
I want to read just like a little bit of dialogue just to like get the tone of this across, the mean-spirited, gross Batman tone in this. Hal Jordan says something about like a lot of people want you brought down, or worse, you're up against some unspeakable power. And he goes, "Oh, I find that power plenty speakable, Hal. There's parents groups, there's the mafia, just about every East Coast street gang. There's the civil rights contingent, the cops, the mayor, being an election year, Congressman Blaggard, and Governor Spindle, and then there's you and that little Joy Luck club you're putting together. 4 of you by my count: the Wicked Witch of Lesbos Island, the last candy pants of a blown up planet, a shape changer who's nuttier than a fruitcake."
Like
that's insane Batman dialogue.
Yes. A thing that like is so out of character for Batman.
It's wild.
This is like Bruce got drunk. Like that's what it feels like. Like he's been on nothing but Jack for like a week.
There's another thing too where it's like oh, hang on. I gotta find it. He's talking about Hal's weakness. Obviously, the yellow thing is part of it in this. So in the narration boxes, Batman is saying, "Thing is, old Hal Jordan, or old Hal Jordan, that's his real name. The moron can't keep any secrets from me. Old Hal, he can't even make himself a green dandelion with that ring of his if what he's up against is yellow. Dumbest weakness I've ever heard of. I don't know what this yellow hang-up of his is. Seems to me the Guardians of the Universe could have whipped up an ultimate weapon that was colorblind in their sleep. Maybe it's a phobia of his or something. I wouldn't know. I'm no shrink." So he's like actively uncurious. He's not a detective.
You know, this is exactly
he's not like interested. He doesn't want to learn it. Like, it's everything about this is like not Batman.
You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of like the drunk, like conservative uncle at like a Thanksgiving dinner.
Yes.
Like that's exactly the feeling it feels like. The ramblings of a fucking like closed-minded, like conservative piece of shit.
I mean. Like, he's supposed to be the world's greatest detective.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I'm a shrink. It's like, you didn't study psychology?
Yeah,
we're talking about shrinks. You deal with criminals.
You fucking super kids these days wearing your fucking tights and like.
And he even says like, whatever, you go fight the big monsters. I'll break the femurs of rapists while you're doing that.
It's I. What do you mean you can't buy a house for $20,000?
It's truly insane. It's not even like The Dark Knight Returns. The Dark Knight Returns is still visibly like more or less Batman.
Yeah.
He is a grizzled, cynical, old, conservative Batman.
Yeah.
But he's still Batman. He still has the like guns. We don't use these. These are the weapons of cowards. You know, he has like all of like that kind of like shit in there.
Yeah.
he's a violent guy. He does like, oh, you're young, you'll walk again or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
he's violent and shit like that, but he's not like, a bunch of fucking pansies. Like,
It takes the wrong perspective from the argument in this.
it's so fucking crazy.
Because, like,
I think there's an argument to be made that Miller is trying to say how insane the idea of Batman is.
yeah. But it doesn't come off anti-Batman.
It doesn't. It comes off like he thinks this is cool.
Yes.
That's the problem with this. Like, I think there is some merit to the idea of doing a story where Batman is this much of a fucking monster.
Yeah.
Just as an exercise,
But
as an
it
Elseworlds thing.
Yeah.
But that's not what this is. This
No.
is like, isn't it fucking edgy as shit where he's drinking lemonade and
Yes.
he calls Hal a cuck or like whatever the fuck.
I will say, both the
I
yellow...
can't believe the word cuck is not in this
I
issue.
truly... It's only just because of when it came out.
Yeah.
But, like, the yellow paint and the lemonade thing is fucking hilarious.
Here's the thing. We got lots of questions in
Yeah.
this episode, and I don't want to over spoil
Sure,
some of
yeah,
my
yeah,
answers
yeah.
to them, but the yellow thing is the thing I like in this issue.
Yes.
It's maybe the only thing I like
It's
in
kind
this
of
issue.
funny.
It's kind of good.
Yeah. Well, that too. Okay. Well, let's get into it.
Yeah.
But like,
It's the only thing I like about
Yeah,
this
yeah,
issue,
yeah.
or at least the number one thing.
here's also the slight problem I will have.
Sure.
So the perspective of it is bad.
So mean.
The like, but it's like, unfortunately, it's well written.
I disagree.
I don't think there's like a problem with the writing. What the writing is bad, but it's well written bad.
I don't think that's true.
Because like we've read some bad comics.
I know, but nothing happens in this, and they argue in circles. Like nothing actually propels anything forward.
But I
there's
think
no narrative structure.
maybe
to
it's more
this.
of the
Like-
the framework of it, with like what the conversation they're having is, and like the Robin
Sure.
going too far, and like the pieces of it are not bad. What it's trying to accomplish is
the elemental
Yes.
components feel like they would be the components of a different, better
yes,
story.
exactly, and I think that's.
But
more
I
of what
think
I'm
there's
saying.
a bigger stretch to say that it's written fine.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
The artwork's not that bad.
Yeah, I think Lee's on form here.
Yeah,
It looks pretty good.
This isn't like a older Lee. This is like
The action stuff's good. I like the way he portrays the like agility of Robin.
yeah.
It
Feels like a more contemporary Jim Lee.
And here's the crazy thing too. Another thing I don't hate in this. If we set the table and say Miller is trying to tell us Batman's crazy.
Yeah.
Which again,
Sure.
like we said, doesn't hold up.
Does not accomplish.
However, that moment where we see through Lee's art how accomplished Robin is.
Yeah.
And even Batman's narration is like, oh shit. Like Batman's like, oh fuck, I trained him too good. I've made a monster. Shit.
What,
Like,
and what he says, I did like the thing where he's like, oh shit, like I lost my family and had years to train.
Yes.
And like grieve and figure out. I mean, he didn't grieve, but
no,
yes.
I mean,
but like, I
he
get what he's
definitely
saying.
did not figure it out.
No.
'Cause he's all through this series. He's been breaking the femurs
Yes.
of thugs.
It's bad.
Yeah.
But it is an interesting concept to be like, oh no, I just took this kid, immediately turned him into a weapon.
Yeah.
And like didn't give him a chance to like comprehend or process what he's gone through.
This movie is so
Book.
or is this this book.
Book Kakaki.
This book, yeah, right, book Kakaki, of course. This book is so right wing that in 2009, the voice of moral reason is the cop.
Woof. Yeah. It's insane. So let's get into this episode.
There's lots to talk about here.
Yeah.
Sorry. Just is there? What we should maybe do just off the hop here is cape rating.
Oh, sure. 2.
I'd give it a 2.
Yeah.
Only because there are things that are also worse and more boring.
Yes.
I don't want that to be. I don't want the 2 to come off as like I kind of like
No.
it. I don't.
No.
But it's
The concept.
it's a more fascinating
Yes.
read than other more boring bad
Yes.
books.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed. All right. And also, he's got some pretty good ideas in there.
Yeah, and also I love the way he talks about Wonder Woman.
Yeah. If I had a chance with Black Canary.
The Wicked Witch of Lesbos Island.
Fuck.
Like, Batman couldn't be more of an incel.
Yeah, and he like really like emphasizes Les, I think, when he said it.
And he says things like candy pants and fruit.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, which is like right on the
like,
edge. Yeah.
I wonder if at any point someone was like, "Hey, Frank,
Did you see the
do you
year?
think, yeah, Frank, when we woke you up, you had been in stasis.
Yeah.
It's 2009 or whatever year this is. I feel like it's around there, but
Yeah.
no.
Okay. Let's go to Facebook.
Go to the face and the book. Go to the Facebook.
First question from Danny Ash, who says, I love this comic, and I don't care the hate it gets. Playing Batman like a black comedy was amazing. Remake Batman 66 in the vein of Succession, and it would be brilliant.
I'm going to say a couple things here.
Yeah.
Thing number one.
Yeah.
You can like this book if you want. Like,
Sure.
That's fine. Thing number two.
Yeah.
Batman 66 and Succession, while I don't particularly have an opinion on how that works because I don't watch the show, feels like a different thing than what we're talking about here.
Yes.
And thing number three I want to say is you are giving more credit than every bank in the world if you think that this is a black comedy and not just Frank Miller fucking up Batman.
Yes.
That's you're being so fucking generous with this steaming turd of an interpretation.
Absolutely.
A thing you can enjoy reading, by the way.
Yeah.
But like, whether you like it or not, it's like it's bad.
Yeah.
I like
Absolutely.
lots of bad shit. You just own it.
Yeah.
That's fine. But like, this is not good.
Yes.
And the idea of like, it's a black comedy. It's like, we can't just say that to wipe turds under the carpet. That's not.
It's bad because it's good.
That's not what those words mean.
Yeah.
That's very funny to me. However, here's what I will say.
Yeah.
While I don't agree that it's a black comedy, and while I don't know what to do with the Succession thing, I do think that in different hands, there is a version of what if we played out the kind of like how psychotic the idea of Batman is.
Yeah.
There's an idea of that is not uninteresting to explore as an Elseworlds thing.
Yeah.
I would even go so far as to say Batman kidnapping his Robin is like not a crazy idea.
Yeah.
What's horrible is that we're trying to pass this off as Batman
That's the
and
problem.
as the Batman of the Dark Knight Returns,
Yeah.
who is Batman.
Yes.
He's like recognizably Batman. This has to be like a crazy world where it's all topsy-turvy or whatever. But in this one, it's like you know what I mean?
It's just not
You know
believable.
what I'm getting at?
It's not believable that this version of Batman is also the world's greatest detective.
Because they want to have it both ways. That like this guy is also like not gonna kill.
I
like,
know.
The no
Yeah.
kill thing isn't just the only line. There's a marker. And our Batman, the main one, he loses his control all the time. We can explore the violence and the kind of like, is he as crazy as the villains kind of thing? We explore that in Batman comics all the fucking time. But he's also not out there like beating up, a thug and being like, yeah, I get off on this. He's like, every time your bones break, I get harder.
Like, I'm surprised
this
he doesn't.
Batman is like fucking.
I'm surprised he didn't backhand Robin. Like,
Well, yeah, you know what I mean. Like, he punches him.
Yes.
He full on decks a child.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is a crazy interpretation. There are ideas in this book and in this
That are
series that could be narratively interesting to explore. But the way that Miller
So
does
fucking
it,
heavy-handed.
well, the way that Miller does it just fundamentally undermines the idea of Batman. There was a way to do it and keep him as Batman. Or you go the other way and you go, he's not Batman. Like, he's in no way recognizably Batman.
Totally.
He's a psycho.
100%.
And Miller was like, can I do both and make all of it cool?
And the answer is
The
no.
answer is no, but that's what he's going for.
All right. Let's leave Facebook and head on over to Twitter.
That's Twitter.
First question comes from Nightwing Enjoyer, who asks, How do you guys feel about Nightwing Enjoyer sounds like the discount like dollar store like version of a different product.
Yeah.
I like you heard Nightwing Lover. This is Nightwing Enjoyer.
Yeah. Nightwing Enjoyer is a wish.com.
Yeah,
Nightwing
that's
Lover.
what it feels like.
Yeah.
I'm Batman Boss, and this is Nightwing Enjoyer.
I mean, in fairness, this book is a wish.com. Batman
Sure,
and Robin.
fair. That's yeah, it's appropriate. How do you guys feel about how Miller's Bruce treated Dick in this series? From cursing at him to stranding him in the cave to eat rats and everything in between.
This is the shit I'm talking about. So this isn't in this issue, but in this series.
Yeah.
He does like more or less kidnap Dick Grayson. He also leaves him in that cave to starve, and Dick has to like eat rats and shit.
Yeah.
That's fucked. That's so fucked up.
Yep.
There's a version of the Dark Knight Returns Batman is a pretty stern, he talks about the war, be a good soldier. But look at how he treats Carrie Kelly. He doesn't treat her like this. Not in that book anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have all those panels of him like, you did good. Like, he's still putting her in a war zone. He goes like, you did good, little soldier, or whatever.
Yeah.
He's Batman.
Yeah.
Like, he's not anti-child labor. Obviously, he's Batman. But there's a heart somewhere in him. In this fucking book, this is a Batman that like, I think you could get away with him swearing.
Yeah.
Or stuff like you could do the thing like a worse version of like Picard's bad with kids.
Sure.
I think that's reasonable to a certain extent in Miller's vision of Batman.
But this Batman's a
this
villain.
Batman, like, he is a villain.
Yeah.
This is what the Joker would do.
Yes.
Like, it's fucking heinous.
Yeah. 100%.
This Batman is absolutely a criminal.
Yeah.
Like, beyond just like all Batman's a criminal. Like,
no. This is like somebody needs to take him down.
Here's the shit though too. Like, people talk a lot about how BVS is
sure
inspired by Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
It's obvious. Like, it's like design, beats, dialogue, all that shit's in there. But do you know what else it lifts from? As I was reading this,
really.
That thing of like, we've always been criminals. We're criminal. And then you cut to BVS and I'm going like, we've always been criminals, Alfred. And you go like, you'd be like, Snyder likes all of Miller.
Which is not that surprising.
No, of course it's not. But yeah. As I was reading this, I was like, ooh.
By the way, have you seen that TikTok where the comedian's performing and he starts like doing crowd work? And
it's Zack Snyder.
Yeah, so fucking funny.
It is very funny.
It also kind of makes Zack Snyder a bit of a piece of shit because he's like, what do you do? And he's like, well, no, first he's like, what's your name? And he's like, Zach.
Yeah.
And he's like, fucking, all right, buddy. Like, I'm just asking your name. Like, what do you do? And he's like, I'm a director. And he's like, oh, like what director? And he's like,
you done anything we know?
Yeah. And he's like, what director do you know with the name Zach? Is his response.
Yeah, which is like, all right, cool, man.
You're fucking
like,
chill.
Yeah, your army of incels isn't here at the show too.
Yeah.
I think Bruce is a monster in this book. Absolutely irredeemable.
It's his his actions with Dick are the worst. Some of the probably the worst things that he does.
To the point where it's actually kind of inexplicable when you have a moment where he like saves Hal Jordan's life or he takes Dick.
It feels like it's undercutting this character now.
That's exactly it. And that's how you know that it's a writing fuck up and not a matter of interpretation.
100%.
Is that when Batman does things that you expect Batman to do
and it
undermines this character.
Yes. 1,000%.
Yes. It's fucking crazy.
All right. Next question from Michael Benson, who asks, Benson?
That was pretty good.
Hell yeah. Who asks, what's one DC villain you would have liked to see Miller use in this series and or Dark Knight Returns that wasn't used?
I'm trying to remember. I don't think we do anything with Clayface in these. I'm pretty sure. Someone will correct me. I don't think Clayface shows up in any of this kind of shit.
Sure.
I also think there's like a dearth of Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
Mr. Freeze feels like he's a big enough villain. He should be somewhere.
Yeah, definitely.
But like that's also me like condemning them to be in Miller's worldview. I care about these criminals too much for that.
Yeah. I can't imagine what he would do to make a criminal worse than Batman.
That feels worse than sticking them in Arkham.
Yeah. You know who I would like to see Miller take on, because I think it could only go so bad, is Man-Bat maybe?
I don't know, man. He would I feel like Miller would like comb National Geographics until he found like some article be like, did you know that like bats like rape other bats' ears? And he'd be like, great, we'll use that.
Yeah.
He'd be like,
Moore's like, what?
I spent a year and a half reading every National Geographic article on bats until I found one that justified an insane thing I wanted to do in this book. And that kind of feels like Miller's energy a little bit. Although I might be giving too much credit that he's doing research.
Yeah, he didn't even read Batman. He didn't even read his own Batman.
He didn't even read his own Batman. That's the crazy. At least read your own Batman. Yeah,
that's fucking.
I mean, it's fucking wild.
So yeah, maybe Clayface.
Yeah, I guess.
But the Clays come.
Yeah, more like
shit.
Cum face.
Yeah,
it was book cocky.
Jesus Christ. Vile. All right, next question comes from our favorite religious representative.
Ooh, Chris Chan.
That's right, who asks, what was the editorial mandate behind this? How could the fate of this have been so different than All-Star Superman by Grant Morrison? Great question.
As I recall, and Jaffe will probably expand on this in the Dockscord, but in general, the idea, I think, behind the All-Star line was to have legendary creators do, like, definitive takes.
Sure.
You know, and they kind of stand on their own.
Yeah.
And they don't impact continuity, but it's like, what a encapsulation of a character or something like that. And so, you know, you get Morrison and Quitely on All-Star Superman, and it's maybe the quintessential Silver Age Superman story. It's up there with something like Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow or something like that. Like, you know, not to pit Morrison and Moore against each other, but like
let's do that.
But All-Star Superman in general might just be like the quintessential Superman book.
Yeah.
It's a story, you know, it came out as issues, but it's like a contained story.
Yeah.
If someone's like, I don't know what Superman's about, you can hand them this, be like, don't worry about the continuity, but this is like this is Superman vibes.
I can say that now because I don't want to support Superman for All Seasons anymore.
Well, yeah. But I mean, Superman for All Seasons to an extent too.
Yeah.
You know, but you give that to them and they go like, oh, I get Superman.
Yeah.
The whimsy of it, the optimism of it, the romance, the adventure.
Yeah.
It has all the elements. The sci-fi, the like, you know, he's like feeding little mini suns to a sun eater. All the weird, fantastical shit is in there. It's the encapsulation of specifically Silver Age, but in general, kind of maybe like the best version of Superman.
Totally. And then there's this.
And then in this one, you bring it like who's like a legendary creator and someone who has been legendary on Batman.
Yes. Whose like version of Batman up until this point was like one of the top versions.
Who, despite things like this, The Dark Knight Returns is still influencing Batman comics, movies, everything.
1,000%.
Crazy, the influence, you know? So you bring in Miller, right? He's done The Dark Knight Returns. He's done year one. He's done The Dark Knight Strikes Again, and everyone went like,
maybe just the one.
You know what I mean? But we're going through these things. And I gotta imagine they mostly just left him alone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it comes in, you go like, this is a, like,
this sure is a take.
I'm imagining like Jim Lee like getting script pages and going like, okay.
You sure?
You know what I mean? Like, here's the thing. Like, I don't know what they expected. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's
this age, Frank Miller.
I think it's pretty obvious early on. No, even if they didn't expect it of Frank, as soon as the first script pages roll in and an editor looks at them, you go like, we can't put this out.
right?
I have no idea what the fuck happened there, or if it's just like it's Frank Miller. You just kind of got to do it.
Yeah.
Which is like not.
I get it.
That's not implausible. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like it's like if Frank Miller says he wants to. If Stan Lee says like this time. Peter Parker face fucks Mary Jane. You go like, all right, Stan, I guess. And you're like,
It's your
it's
character.
not what
yeah,
I would
yeah,
do,
yeah.
but Excelsior.
Yeah, the kids are gonna love it.
You know, like I don't know if it's just at a certain level of like legend status. You just go like, but it's also
He's
like
got tenure. Yeah,
it's not main continuity.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
supposed to be their takes. Like if you're trying to have quote artistic integrity about this thing, you don't want the word to get out that you're telling legends to like not write their take. You know what I mean? I imagine it's a whole confluence of things. It's probably been written about somewhere. I didn't have time to like really go digging about it. But
Sure.
that's what I imagine are like some of the possible variables at play there. You know what I mean?
yeah. I
That it's about, if it's about the creator's vision, we can't tell them what their vision is or isn't. If it's about, you know what I mean? It's out of continuity. It's Frank Miller. You just leave him to do his thing.
yeah.
Like, you know, or Frank Miller's got an audience. Like maybe they'll like this. You know, like
Yeah.
it could be so many things. It could be all of them. It might be none of those. It might be something else crazy. Maybe it was a producer's scenario where DC needed to lose money.
Yeah, maybe.
What if Batman was Hitler?
Yeah.
You know,
Put it to print.
maybe it could be that. Who knows? It does seem crazy though, doesn't it? Like
Absolutely.
to lose that early in the imprint, to just fully lose control of it.
Yeah.
It's really wild.
Insane. All right, let's leave Twitter and head on over to Instagram.
Now we're going to Instagram, take some questions and answer them.
First question comes from Comic Books of Oa, who asks, love this issue. Robin crushes Hal as Bruce, warns Hal it's his funeral.
I can't tell if this is sarcasm or not.
I know.
Here's what I will say, though, and I did say it a bit up top. A lot of the stuff I dislike in this is about dialogue. It's about motivation.
Yep.
And it's about the spirit of things, and it's so mean-spirited. Do I hate the idea of Batman and Robin beating up Hal during an understanding? Not really.
No, yeah, that's fine.
You know what I mean? Like, Batman has a long history of beef with Green Lanterns.
Yep.
More than any other character.
Yeah.
Batman has an almost inherent beef with Green Lanterns.
Yeah, which I get. Yeah. I mean, they're fucking cops. Yeah.
And they always come back to it. And I don't hate that idea. And I love the yellow room thing. Like, that to me, that's the one little moment in this where it's like, oh, this might have been like All-Star Superman.
Yeah.
In different hands where you're doing the Silver Age Batman. Not that All-Star should have been all Silver Age stuff, but you know what I mean? You just embrace some of these things, you know?
Yes.
Sometimes it's kind of dumb like that. Like, I like that idea. And the idea of like Hal being, you know, overconfident because he has the ring, that even in the face of like, well, fine, you know my weakness, but I'm still Hal fucking Jordan.
Totally.
And then you underestimate the kid, but the kid's been trained. Like, there's stuff in there that I don't think is that bad.
Yeah.
But the setup of it, why they're fighting him, how badly Robin beats him, like all of this shit is like psychotic. But the idea of seeing a Green Lantern get his ass handed to him by the Bat, I can't be against that, or I'm against a lot of comics. I'm against JLI. I'm against, like...
It was interesting. There was a moment where I was like, before they say Dick Grayson, I was like, is this Damian Wayne? I was like...
Or even fucking Jason.
Yeah, a slightly more understandable, or like an old Dick Grayson maybe, like who's like right before he stops being Robin. I was like, maybe that. But young Robin, I was like, that doesn't even make any sense.
It's crazy.
It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, but again, maybe fits with, in general, this Batman character until Batman goes, no, you went too far, you monster.
I know.
It's like he like snapped out of his fugue state and he's like, I am Batman.
Oh my God.
Briefly.
Yeah. Insane.
Until I smell that ashy ass breath that Black Canary's got.
All right, next question comes from Ben Forrest Stewart.
Oh, lock the door if your room is yellow.
Sure. Who asks, there's no way Frank Miller actually thought this was good, right? There are so many bad things to point to, but I'll never get over Batman having himself and Robin painted completely yellow. And we actually think that's probably maybe the best part.
Of all the things to point to, that is the one I refute.
Yeah.
I think that's actually great.
Yes.
It's so disappointing that more of this series didn't have the energy of, and so they paint themselves yellow. You know what I mean? In a book where Batman is actively like uncurious, unlearned, malicious, things like that.
Yeah.
The one thing that actually feels like Batman is, I found out his weakness,
Yeah.
and I have fully committed to it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I love that idea. I think that's fun.
Totally.
It's that's a way to show like the drive, the dedication. I painted the whole room. I have lemonade. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't have to have drinks in the room.
So funny.
Like,
so funny.
That's fucking fun.
And he keeps being like, why don't you try the lemonade?
I mean, that's
so funny.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
That's not that bad.
Yeah, I love that.
But it's bad when he's like, anyway, I think Superman's a fucking pussy. Do you want some lemonade?
Yeah.
I could have slammed Wonder Woman. He's like, when the dialogue is like such alt-right rambling.
Yes.
And then he does it, you go like, I don't know. But the idea of Batman going like, your weakness is yellow, like, I got money. I can figure this shit out.
I can make everything yellow.
This is the easy one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't have to buy like a $20,000 piece of radioactive rock.
Yeah,
for
I've just
you.
got this piece of shit apartment I can make yellow. Why not?
I think that's great. That feels like a classic Batman thing where it's like, I bought an apartment in Gotham. I lured you here. World's greatest detective. I'm several steps ahead.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I wish more of this series had, for lack of a better term, Batman in it.
Yeah. Truly.
So I mean, I as for the question, did Frank Miller think this was good? I
wonder, has anybody talked to him about it since?
I can't imagine that Frank Miller, though, is like, I'm up against a deadline. I just gotta do it. Instead of him being like, I'm Frank Miller, and they go like, take as long as you need.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't imagine it's that. I can't imagine him going like, well, some paycheck's a paycheck.
Yeah.
Or maybe he does, but like, I still don't think he's like committing to paper a thing he doesn't think on some level is entertaining.
Like, do you think now he's like it was ahead of its time? Like,
good question, man. Who knows? Maybe there is an interview out there where he talks about it, but like, I can't imagine that he's like.
Because how many books has he had canceled? Like, how many series? Like,
but here's the thing, like, I will say I haven't finished reading it because I can't, but I understand that Dark Knight 3, The Master Race, is better than you might expect.
It's better than 2.
And then I haven't read The Golden Child either.
Sure.
But he keeps going back to it. And like, I don't think he's like, I don't think those books are like vastly like, what? It's a totally different Frank Miller.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's Frank Miller.
Yeah. This
does feel, it does feel like cataclysmically bad.
Yes.
So I understand the impulse to be like, even he must, and maybe he does, but like, I couldn't tell you what went wrong here, but like, it's bad.
Yeah. Next question comes from Keegan Steedman, who asks,
it's not a typo.
No.
I don't make typos.
No, of course not. Nope. Not like you could copy and paste it. So, do you think they should carry on with the All-Star series? If so, who would you like to see in this sort of light?
I mean, a little late for that, I think.
Why?
Well, I mean, this book tanked it, and that was
2000.
It was 15 years ago. Yeah. You know? I think the newer version of this, and it's not the same. Like, the idea of the All-Star thing, like I said, was like definitive takes, I think, by legendary creators. That's not the same as the mandate for, say, Earth 1. But Earth 1, we are getting specific takes from creators, you know, and that are kind of interesting and different and things like that. It's not the same mandate at all, but I do feel like there's maybe not enough room for both right now. you can always write an Elseworld story, and we see them. You know, like Superman Space Age feels like it's in the vein. It's almost like an all-star Justice League.
Yeah.
It's Superman focused, but the way that book goes, that's almost like a all-star Justice League of America kind of story. That's maybe the closest to that kind of vibe.
I just think Earth 1 accomplishes it. Like,
I think Earth 1 largely does, but the only difference being that it's not necessarily like a beginning to end thing. But even like I don't know where Batman and Robin like was going to go.
No,
like was it going to go all the way to Dick like leaving as Robin?
We're also getting
like,
Earth 1 Part 2. Like it's. Like
we've got
Lantern,
multiple parts, but like Wonder Woman Earth 1 has volumes 1, 2, 3, and that's done, basically. That's kind of
totally
it. I don't know that there's a mandate to only do 3 volumes or anything like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's largely up to the artist.
I think
creator,
that's it, yeah. But I think as a publishing side thing, Earth 1 kind of takes that. It's like, you tell your story. When you have it ready, we'll publish it. It's long form. It's your take. You don't have to worry about continuity. Blah 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 blah. Like that feels like it exists, and therefore anything too similar to it feels like it's a little redundant.
Sure.
So I don't think the All-Star line would pop back up. Really, I don't think there's a reason for it to.
If it would, though, who would you want to see do one?
Oh, is that who would I want to see do one, or who would I want it to be about?
Well,
who would I like to see in this sort of light as a character?
But I also like maybe
put
a team behind it, because I think it's also kind of part of it.
Sure. I mean, I think it would be hard for me to say anything other than
Aquaman,
All-Star Flash. Actually, I think is what I'd want. I think All-Star Flash would be really fun, and it would be awesome to see like a real Generations story of it, for the Flash specifically, because even in the Silver Age, even before a multiverse, Barry Allen calls himself the Flash because he read Jay Garrick Flash comics.
Oh, love
and
that.
Takes the inspiration.
It's a real fucking Miles Morales shit.
There's always the Flash has always been
a legacy.
Well, I mean, since Barry, but you know what I mean. So I think it'd be fun to have like a true Generations story. Mm-hmm. Of like Jay to Barry to Wally to Bart.
Who would you want to see take on something like that?
Great question. I mean, I really don't know actually. If we're thinking in the all-star vein, you have to go like, who are the biggest? It's kind of hard to say a writer other than Mark Waid. You almost have to say
Wade or Jeff Johns.
You almost have to say Waid, I think. So I guess Waid is the writer. Art, legendary artist. That's tough too. I mean, him doing interiors would take for fucking ever, but like Alex Ross.
Oh, I mean, sure.
Or at least for like maybe the Golden Age thing. Like it might be actually interesting for that one if like the art changed as you went through generations. If that's the pitch of it, it would be cool to see like the Jay Garrick era as these kind of Norman Rockwell sort of things. I mean, he also did all those covers for JSA, which is probably what I'm thinking of when I'm thinking of this. But
sure,
you know what I mean.
I'd love to see like a Wonder Woman.
Sure, All-Star Wonder Woman. Yeah. Tracks
like either like Rutka or like Perez or something.
Well, yeah, if he was alive.
Well, yeah, sure.
I think that's a fair proviso to put on this question that they must be alive.
Yeah, or like Tynan or something.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah. All right. Next question comes from Cursed Blob, who asks, name a book with a worse characterization for Batman.
I thought about this.
Okay.
Pretty hard.
Nice. Nothing.
There's not one.
This is the worst one.
Because the ones where Batman is more despicably a monster.
Yeah.
It's
context.
It's the point. There's a context. It's the dark multiverse, or it's, or he's Owlman from Earth 3, or this is just...
It's like maybe the original Batman where he's got like a gun and stuff, and like...
I think that guy But that guy was also like not beating the shit out of kids.
Sure, fair, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if you take that, like a guy that kicks a guy into a vat of acid.
Yeah.
That was a pretty definitive Batman, but he wouldn't like beat the shit out of a kid.
No, definitely.
I truly, and I'm not saying this to be hyperbolic. I thought about this all day long today. And I was trying to look up other Batman stories, Elseworld stories, like all sorts of things. And I truly don't believe there is a worse characterization of Batman than All-Star Batman and Robin the Boy Wonder.
Yeah.
I think it is the worst.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to hear what other people think, if like what your other nominations would be for that.
Like,
I truly think this is the worst characterization of Batman.
Like, do you think, like, going back to that dark comedy thing, like, do you think that was his intention?
I could see Frank Miller saying it. Because, and I could maybe see him thinking it. But if that's the case, then we have grossly overestimated the skill of Frank Miller as a writer.
1,000%. But I wonder,
this is a guy that like struck gold with
yeah.
Daredevil and one Batman story, and then we went like, I guess it's all brilliant.
Yeah. Because I only even say that because you just reminded me the name. Which is like Robin the Boy Wonder, which is kind of a ridiculous thing to...
You're implying Silver Age heavily. So then to read a story like this is like fucking...
Which is the only reason why I'm like, the juxtaposition, I guess, is
and
intentional.
with the context of All-Star Superman, the most Silver Age story ever told.
Yeah.
It is wild to launch into this and be like, oh...
Which is like, the only thing I could think of is that either like he's trying to create a juxtaposition to be like, look how bad this is, or isn't this crazy? Like, I don't know.
Here's the bit that really, if we give the benefit of the doubt, Hal Jordan as a character in this issue, for example, is speaking sense.
Sure, yeah.
So we know that on some level, Frank Miller knows the argument. You know what I mean? He's speaking it through Green Lantern.
Yes.
He knows what the argument is. And he tries to do this thing with Batman where he's like, fuck, I didn't allow for his emotions. I just threw him into this war.
Yeah.
I built a monster, and it's my responsibility to like back him off from this, to save him from...
It's like fucking Jekyll and Hyde wrote this.
But that's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, there is a... You know what? Let's double back on it. I think maybe Miller thinks he's being clever to some degree.
Yes.
And he's being hyperbolic.
Yes.
On the violence of Batman.
But he's not good enough of a writer to pull it.
But he's not pulling it off.
Yes.
Because, again, when he makes the switch to something that's more recognizably Batman, those moments where he's like, is this the way?
Yeah.
Then we go like, well, who's this new guy?
Exactly. Yeah. He's just not that good of a writer.
His head turned around like the mayor in Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yes.
He's like, you go like, who are you?
Yeah. Fully different person.
And I think that's the problem. So if that was his intention, then it's just proof that Miller's not as good of a writer as we thought he was.
Exactly. Yep.
Or that he was and he fully lost it.
Yes.
Which is also possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's leave Instagram and head on over to Reddit,
where everyone's nice and no one's ever mean.
First question comes from...
I actually think this book is meaner than Reddit.
Truly. This is 4chan.
Yeah. This book makes Reddit look like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. First question comes from Chozodia.
Okay.
Who asks...
By the way, when I first read that name, I thought it was Chodzilla.
Which is funny.
Which is such a good name.
Yeah.
You can have that, actually. I'm sure no one on Reddit is called Chodzilla.
I mean, come on. How would this series have ended? It's not going to end.
It won't. Is the answer. But I don't know. I don't really know where it's hard to gauge where it was going. Actually, like what the end game of it would have been. You know what I mean? Like, I can't imagine it going to like a bigger milestone of, like Dick Grayson leaving as Robin.
Like where was it heading?
I couldn't see that. I can't really see it having anything too much more to do with the Justice League. I don't really. I don't really know.
Like, did it feel like it was pointing in a direction at all?
Not to me.
Yeah.
I don't really feel like there's a particular direction to it. I think that's part of the problem with it too, actually.
Yeah.
So I truly don't know how to answer that. I think we have to assume there was some kind of plan, but it
sure didn't feel like it.
No, it's pretty obtuse, whatever it was.
All right, let's go to the next question from Nameless Nerd Talk, who asks, would you like to see this more Chad Batman interact with other heroes similar to how we did with GL? If so, who? I could totally see this version of Bruce giving Martian Manhunter some serious trauma. I mean, yeah, he would just be like, we don't want your kind here. Like,
yeah, I mean, he already called him a fruitcake to Green Lantern.
Yeah.
He said he was nuts.
Yeah, like...
Which also, like... Do we ever see Martian Manhunter in a Millerverse thing? I'm trying to think of, like, Strikes Again, or... I haven't read some of, like, the later stuff.
Yeah,
because I can't bring myself to do it.
These aliens are coming and taking these human heroes' jobs.
The thing is, he's so obsessed with Kryptonians that it always cycles back to that.
Sure, yeah.
But like, so I don't know if his pitch for Martian Manhunter is more that he's supposed to be like being like telepathic makes you weird or crazy, or if that's just a throwaway line by Batman that doesn't mean anything. He's just saying it to be mean, which also seems to be a Miller thing.
Yeah,
don't read too much into it.
You know who I would love
What am I, a writer?
You know who I'd love to see him interact with? Is Plastic Man. I would just love to see Miller write Plastic Man and she would be like, nice. I was her fucking seed.
I mean, here's the thing. We like when we read that Plastic Man, the Kyle Baker one.
Yeah.
Plastic Man does disguise himself as a bike seat.
Yes,
go,
yeah.
But Miller would be like, Plastic Man would be like gleefully recounting the story to Batman.
Yes.
He'd be like, and then I licked a pussy all the way. and Batman would be like, it's cool that he licked your pussy, but I hate Plastic Man.
Yeah, also eating pussy's gross. I would never.
Yeah, you know what Miller's Batman would say? He would be like those... Every time you see that tweet where it's like, fellas, is it gay to fuck a woman?
Yeah.
It would be like, he would be the thing getting quote tweeted.
Yes.
This Batman would be like, letting a woman come is inherently a beta move.
Yeah.
It's like, he would be like, he yelling shit like that the whole time.
Yeah.
Lights off. Missionary is the only alpha way.
Yeah. A king never does that.
Yeah. I mean, the Andrew Tate comment from earlier is like 100%.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. Anybody else you'd love to see him interact with?
I mean, listen, I don't want to see anyone interact with this, but...
Like Booster and Beetle.
The only way I want it... Here's the thing. Like, as a thought exercise, the problem is that Miller is writing everyone.
Yes, that's a problem. I want somebody else.
There's a slight thing I want to see, which is anyone else written by anyone else meets this Batman and goes like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, seriously.
And like, that... I'm a little interested in.
Yeah, absolutely.
As like a comedy thing.
Yeah, like a Gail Simone
I'd love to
written
see, like, or like Harley Quinn from the show to be like, the fuck, man? Like, like to take him down. Like that would be interesting. But like to have Miller write another, you know what's a character? Oh man, I can't believe I'm saying this. Oh, it's not. This question is specifically about heroes. I thought of a villain one for that villain question. Do you know who I think Miller would do pretty well? I don't think he's done. It's Vandal Savage.
Oh, sure.
Like a guy who's supposed to be like caveman. Huh?
Yeah.
Fuck, eat, violence.
Yeah.
That's like
what his characters are anyway.
That's kind of a Miller joint.
Or like Lobo.
Yeah. Although I feel like Miller is like, if you read Miller's Lobo, you'd be like, that's a lot.
Yes, truly.
You'd be like, Lobo is more toned down than
this. Yeah.
Make Lobo believable, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what hero I would want to consign to that fate. I like the Plastic Man idea.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right. Next question comes from. Oh, you know who actually? Okay, sorry. One more.
Hit me.
Hawkman.
Interesting.
He's already a bit of like a fucking like conservative piece of shit, and sometimes.
Yeah. Interesting. Miller would definitely lean into that. If we take like what he did with GA.
Yeah.
Dark Knight Returns, right?
Yeah.
He would lean into Hawkman on the other side. He would like play that up.
Yeah.
But I also feel like Hawkman is extremely violent, even by normal Batman standards.
Yeah.
But I feel like because Miller is doing this specific thing with Batman, Hawkman would actually be like the moderate Republican.
Sure, yeah.
He'd be like, I just want to make sure they can't get married.
Whatever you fucking fly boy, yeah. Fair.
I just don't want them reading stories to kids.
Yeah.
That would be his Hawkman.
This is extreme. Yeah.
I
don't need to march on Washington.
Yeah. Oh, I believe in the Second Amendment, but drag queen story hour?
Yeah.
I'm Qatar Hall.
Yeah. That name sounds a little like not from Earth. All right. Oh God! Every time we get this name, just takes one bad day.
Yeah,
that sounds like a name written by Frank Miller, who asks, "How do you think this Robin would grow up? Would he become the optimistic Nightwing we know and love, or would he be screaming fuck Batman in Gotham City alleyways?"
Someone has to help me here. I am convinced we catch up with Dick Grayson.
Really?
In some Miller thing. I don't know if it's Strikes Again.
Oh.
I don't know if it's Master Race.
Sure.
I don't know. I don't know when.
Sure.
I am positive that we catch up with this Dick Grayson. But truly, I mean, like he can't be any of those things. He can't be positive or happy or anything like that. You know, he can't be someone even like with a twinge of forgiveness in him.
No.
I mean, this one couldn't have forgiveness in him. No. Look at what this Bruce did to him. He either fully buys into that, and he also died.
Yeah,
and we just don't touch on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or we was like, "Fuck you, Bruce, you like fucking maniac," right?
Yeah,
and we get out of there because he doesn't come back in Dark Knight Returns. He doesn't help in that big moment where Gotham is lost power and is fucking like nuclear winter for months and shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't help out there. So, I truly can't remember when we catch up with this. This is a slight tangent, but I'm also thinking of like we talked about the Miller verse of things before in a different episode. Yeah. And like year one is more or less meant to be this same Batman, even though it's also more or less
crazy.
Even though it's also more or less a canon Batman.
Sure.
So now think like
that's fucking insane.
But it's not a crazy leap to go like year one is more or less a canon Batman, and then we get this alternate future of Dark Knight Returns. Sure. And that's where he ended up, and you go like that. Yeah, I mean that Batman is still recognizably Batman.
Yeah.
But to now insert this
it's
and
fucking
be like,
crazy.
This is the middle step, and be like, what happened?
Yeah, seriously.
Batman he dropped like bad shrooms for 6 years, and then like fucking like what the fuck is he?
Insane.
It doesn't make any sense. It's crazy. Yeah. This Dick Grayson is super fucked up.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's bad.
All right, let's leave Reddit and head on over to the doc scored. Never prepared.
Hang on.
Always surprised. As if it never happened.
Listen.
Yep.
Stop. Doc.
Whoa.
Scored him down. Open up. Doc.
Whoa.
Scored. That's how that Doc scored rolls.
Wow. That's good.
Yeah.
God, he's back on top.
Yeah, baby.
Never been better.
Next week, I'm going to do that Ja Rule song. They're like, so Doc scored, put it on me. Yeah. I only scored about dogs.
Doc scored. The way you doc, the way you scored. 'Cause I'm scored.
See?
Doc scored.
Yeah.
All right. First question from the Doc scored comes from Which Devil Sorcerer, who asks, is this Miller jumping the shark? No, because the term, what jumping the shark means is a thing that's so good that they can't get past that. That's the term. Because the thing that happens with Happy Days is that they fucking jump a motorcycle over a shark. People interpret.
But is that the best moment, or is that the moment where you go like, oh, the best is behind us?
For me, it's always been like you can't get past how crazy this has gotten, because like when that happened, that wasn't a bad thing on that show. That was just like, holy shit, how do you come back from jumping over a fucking pool of sharks?
I get what you're saying. That's funny, because I think I always thought it was like at the moment where he jumps over the shark, you go like, okay, the show like lost the plot, and it's because that moment isn't the. You know what I mean? Like,
I think it's a bit of both. I think it's just like,
it's
how
interesting
do you change it
interpretation
from there?
though.
Yeah, because it's like, that's fucking rad. Like Fonzie fucking jumps over a pool of shark. That's not bad.
Here's the
like,
thing: in both interpretations, no. If it's the one where you go, oh, he lost the magic.
Yeah.
If that's the interpretation, it's Strikes Again. Dark Knight Strikes Again is not. It doesn't live up to Dark Knight Returns. The art is worse.
Yeah.
It's a way messier story.
Totally.
Like, it's that one.
Yeah.
And if we mean Jump the Shark is as good as it gets, and then it's definitely not this. That's the Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah. Basically,
or Year One.
Yeah, like one of his first
or
things.
his Daredevil, to like open it up
which
to
basically
Miller's
is
works.
like, then it's like he started at his best and never really got it back.
I mean, that's kind of true,
Yeah.
though. I mean, frankly, Frank Millery, that kind of is Miller's career.
Yeah.
Is like he's never lived up to the like 3 great ideas he had.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's which is sad in its own way.
But he's also a piece of shit, so who cares?
He just seems so. I can't imagine a not piece of shit would write this much shit.
Yes. Yes.
It's maybe slightly unfair to him because I don't know him. I've never met him. I've never talked to him.
But I certainly won't get to.
But I just can't. I can't fathom.
He has like cool ideas about stuff.
I can't fathom a better person than what he's put on the page.
Yeah.
And that really upsets me.
Yeah, 1,000%. All right, next question from Butt, who asks, so Batman and Robin paint themselves and the room yellow and fight Green Lantern.
Love it.
Was this written before Green Lantern Rebirth? Why is yellow still Hal's weakness?
So, great question. So, two things. This is an alternate universe. So, it's on its own rules, and they've clearly adopted the Silver Age weakness thing.
Totally.
But the other piece to this is asking about Green Lantern Rebirth. This is where Hal comes back to life. It's the Jeff Johns thing.
Yeah.
We've got all these retcons. We retcon Parallax to be the fear thing.
Yeah.
Like, all of that kind of shit happens. The important piece about that retcon is that it's not that the yellow wasn't a weakness.
Yeah.
But we learn that the yellow is fear. We learn that it's Parallax. And they trap Parallax in the battery, so it's an impurity in the green.
Totally.
All this kind of stuff. Will and fear. All that story. At the end of that, we learn that as Green Lanterns are able to confront their fears and overcome their fears, they can beat the yellow impurity.
Yeah.
They can, yellow is no longer an arbitrary weakness for them.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean it wasn't. So even if this was in canon, it's just set before that.
Yeah.
This is very obviously early career. Hal wouldn't have gone Parallax or anything like that. So either way you want to look at it, it still makes sense.
Totally.
The yellow was just a thing.
Yeah.
John dealt with that. That's like we don't, and that's in continuity.
Yeah.
That yellow Xanshi bomb thing, like we don't undo that by Green Lantern Rebirth.
Totally.
But now they can work through that obstacle, right?
Yeah.
That's the important thing I think to take away from that retcon.
Yeah.
In this case, it's a different universe. It kind of doesn't apply anyway, but if you want to imagine that at some point in this universe, Hal also goes Parallax or some shit like that, then I think that same logic plays out.
For sure. All right, last question from JK, who asks, which is better, All-Star Batman and Robin or Superman for Tomorrow? I hate that I'm going to say this.
I think we're both going to say it.
I think it's All-Star Batman and Robin.
Is better?
Yeah.
I disagree.
Okay.
Superman for Tomorrow, I think, is better. And keep in mind that Superman for Tomorrow, that is a bully, mean,
Yeah.
bad Superman.
Yeah.
It's a book where a random guy with a mustache talks about eating out Wonder Woman.
Yep.
And it's closer to its source material.
Do you think that there is a worse?
I think this is a further, or this is a worse betrayal of a beloved character. I think it's easy to look at For Tomorrow and go like, that's worse because Superman is on. Superman is Superman. When you do anything to that, you go like, what the fuck? And
But
Batman's always kind of a little grimy, and you go like, well. And I think there's like, you know what I mean?
You have to go so far with Batman to make Batman seem unbelievable.
But they do.
Yeah.
And the reason that I say that is because that thing that we keep coming back to, of there are some moments where he acts a little bit like Batman, and it's like a new character enters the book.
1,000%.
And in the Superman one, you just go like, oh, this is just like a bad it's just like a shitty Superman. But he's consistent through it. You know what I mean? Like that story, whether you like it or not, whether you think it's a good interpretation or not, has an internal consistency. It has a place where it's going. It's telling a story. You can read it and go like, not for me, or not my Superman, or I don't like the story, or whatever. But it's one thing. This is fucking nothing.
Here's what I'll say though in response to that. I'd rather read this. Because at the end of the day, if I disconnect the idea of what a betrayal it is, the concepts are better than For Tomorrow, which is just garbage and nothing.
See, I have no desire to read For Tomorrow again. And only in the like, it will make this book would make me like angry for fun.
Yes, exactly.
But I don't know that means it's better.
I don't know, but that's all I can take from it is I'd rather read this.
I know what you're saying.
Like, The Room isn't good, but I'd rather watch The Room than Fern Gully 2.
Oh, fuck. I think For Tomorrow is better, and you're right. I want to read it less.
Yeah.
Well, fuck.
This is what I mean.
Huh.
So both of us are right.
And yet we both
feel bad.
Both lost. Yeah.
All right. Well, that was the last question.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm so excited for this month.
Good Lord. Fucking brutal.
Love it so much.
So yeah, that was All-Star Batman and Robin, the Boy Wonder number 9 by Frank Miller and Jim Lee.
Yeah.
Fucking oof.
Yeah. Love it. All right. If you want to have more discussion about Frank Miller's Batman, you can reach out to us through our various social media platforms, or you can ask a question for next week's episode.
So next week
is
we're reading Vigilante Volume 1, number 17 and 18.
Yeah.
It's a story called Father's Day.
Yeah. Do you know this one?
I do.
All right.
I told you, I know what you're doing. Yeah, so Vigilante 17 and 18. That's what we're reading next week.
Have fun, kids. You can send those questions to our Facebook,
Dr. DC Podcast,
our Twitter,
at Dr. DC,
our Instagram,
Dr. DC Podcast,
our email,
drdcpodcast@gmail.com.
I've done more research to choose these books than I've done for the show in years.
Yeah, welcome back.
Our subreddit
r/Dr_DC.
The doc phone is always open.
208-917-3238.
208-917-DCEU.
If you're nasty.
We are lurking on TikTok.
At Dr. DC.
We are static on our website.
drdcpodcast.com or .ca.
Why don't you give us a 5-star review on whatever platform that you listen to the podcast on. While you're on there, why don't you subscribe and you get that into your feed every single week. And we have got a Patreon.
Yeah, patreon.com/DrDC.
Never more content than there is on there.
There's
now.
a $1, $5, $7 level. They all give you access to the Doc Squad, our awesome Discord fan community.
That's right.
At the higher levels, you get bonus episodes. And through Prescribed Reid-ing Month, we'll be reading non-DC books on the Patreon. So there's even more book cocky for you there. And at the highest level, the Golden Age tier, $7 level, we're in the middle of Toretto Talks, the Fast and Furious series that I'm doing with my sister. This week, Fast 5.
Wow. Can't wait.
Brazil.
Yeah, I can't wait for the fanfic sub-Toretto series that we write after that.
Oh, man. Listen to Ghostfacers this week, guys. Ghostfacers, a Supernatural rewatch. We're going through every single episode of CW Supernatural. We're talking real-world monster lore, behind-the-scenes stuff about the show. We're pitching a bizarro Dominic Toretto called Sub-Toretto, who's like not muscular and he rides a bike.
Yeah.
Life's a marathon, not a race.
Slow and steady.
I like... Yeah, his series is called Slow and Steady, not Fast and Furious. I also like the thing you said where you're like, you can have any beer you want.
It's so
really funny to me.
I hope he shows up on Toretto Talks.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure Sub Toretto will be making an appearance. Yeah.
That's it for this week.
Adios. Ciao.
They always fight for what is right. Live with danger and adventure, they are men of might.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.